You walk into a safe house in Panama City with a briefcase containing $15 million in cash. The man across the table says one sentence: "He's already looking for you. You've been the Presidente's shadow for 8 years. You know his routines, his paranoia, his kill list. Now you're about to add your own name to it. The choice isn't between loyalty and betrayal anymore. The choice is between dying in Caracas or disappearing into a new life. You've made your choice. This is the moment you stop existing. This is level 1. You're not a soldier, you're an apparatus. A breathing security protocol attached to a man who hasn't slept properly in 4 years. The job starts simple. Stand behind him, watch the room, remember faces. You learn his schedule before he does. You know which advisors he trusts, none, and which ones he's planning to arrest, most of them. The air in the palace smells like stale coffee and fear. Everyone moves like they're walking through a minefield because they are. You're 28, you have a wife and a daughter. You tell yourself this is temporary, that you'll leave after the next promotion, the next raise, the next time he says, "I trust you." He never stops saying it. That's how you know it's a test. Inside the palace, there's a SIGINT operation that most people don't see. Landline taps on every phone in the compound. Radio intercepts on military frequencies. A basement full of operators recording conversations in real time. You're part of this architecture now. Your job isn't just to protect him, it's to listen. To remember who called whom, to note the timing, to catalog the network. The Presidente knows he's being listened to. Everyone in the palace knows, so everyone speaks in code. A general calls about weather patterns. A minister discusses agricultural yields. You become fluent in this dead language. You learn to translate the broken code back into reality, then translate it again into the version the Presidente wants to hear. That's the real apparatus, not you. The system of listening and lying that keeps everything standing upright. By year 2, you understand the real job. You're not protecting the Presidente. You're protecting his version of reality. Intelligence reports come in daily. Economic collapse, military defections, street protests in 3 cities. You watch him read them. You watch him decide which ones are real and which ones are CIA propaganda designed to destabilize the revolution. The ones he decides are propaganda get filed in a drawer. The ones he believes get you and 200 other security personnel mobilized at 3 a.m. to investigate a rumor about a coup that doesn't exist. This is where the mechanical failure starts. Not all at once, gradual. A report comes in about a shortage in the eastern states. Food supply is down 40%, this is fact. Trucks haven't arrived in 3 weeks. People are eating grass. The report gets filtered through 3 layers of bureaucrats before it reaches the Presidente. Layer 1 removes the word shortage and replaces it with temporary logistics adjustment. Layer 2 adds a paragraph about CIA interference in shipping. Layer 3 notes that the general in charge of Eastern logistics is suspected of disloyalty and maybe that's why supply is slow. By the time the Presidente reads it, the report says the imperialists are sabotaging our eastern territories using traitorous generals. The people are fine, the revolution is strong, this isn't conspiracy, it's math. Everyone in that chain knows what the Presidente needs to hear. Everyone knows the price of telling him the truth, so nobody tells him. You've learned the language of the regime. You don't say, the currency is worthless. You say, the imperialists are attacking our monetary sovereignty. You don't say, people are starving. You say, the people are testing their revolutionary resilience. The truth becomes irrelevant. What matters is whether your version of events keeps the Presidente calm enough to sign the next order. And here's the thing, this works. For a while. A system of lies keeps running as long as everyone agrees on which lies to tell. The moment someone breaks the agreement, the whole architecture collapses. You don't know it yet, but you're going to be the one who breaks it. By year 4, you're not just protecting him. You're executing his paranoia. A general gets arrested because he made eye contact with the wrong person at a state dinner. You're there when they take him. A minister disappears because his brother-in-law knows someone connected to the opposition. You drive the van. You don't pull triggers. You're not a killer. But you're the logistics. You're the coordination. You're the man who knows which detention center has the capacity and which one has the weakest oversight. The system has infrastructure for this. 5 main facilities in the metropolitan area. Military facility, 200% capacity. Secret police, 100% each. Rehab center, 150. The facility that doesn't officially exist, whatever you need. You learn the paperwork flow. A detainee goes in and gets a file number. Some files get processed. Some get lost. Some people don't get processed at all. They just stay in the system until they stop being a problem. The violence becomes accounting. Bodies become line items. Fear becomes currency. You keep a mental ledger, not written down, but 17 people last month, 23 the month before, a colonel's aide, a journalist's sister, a bus driver who said the wrong thing at the wrong checkpoint. None of this is secret. Everybody in the regime knows because they're all contributing names to the list. You tell yourself you're following orders. You tell yourself this is what loyalty looks like. Your daughter asks why you work so late. You don't have an answer that doesn't sound like a lie. And now you start asking yourself the question that will burn through everything. Is this loyalty, or is this just the cost of not being arrested yourself? Year 5. The commands stop working. The Presidente orders a crackdown on a neighborhood. It's supposed to happen in 6 hours. It doesn't. Not because of resistance. Because the system is too broken to execute. The military isn't one organization. It's 3. The official military answers to the Presidente. The real one answers to generals who made deals with cocaine cartels running operations out of Táchira state. The third is fragments, units answering to nobody. Officers running side operations just to feed their families. Half the military units are on drug trafficker payroll. The other half are underfed and demoralized. Police are running their own detention centers out of precinct houses. When the Presidente orders troops moved, it takes 18 hours instead of 4. Units can't move because officers are siphoning fuel to sell on the black market. Communications break down. Soldiers get paid 3 months late and stop showing up. You watch the Presidente's face when he realizes his orders are suggestions, not commands. It's the moment he understands he's not running a military. He's renting one, and the landlords have stopped paying rent. That's when the paranoia shifts. It stops being about external threats and starts being about internal betrayal. He begins purging the inner circle, not the obvious enemies, the people closest to him. A general who served 15 years gets arrested on charges of conspiring with foreign powers. The evidence is a phone call to his brother in Miami. The brother works in construction. The Presidente doesn't care about construction. He cares that the general has access to cash outside the system. You're in the room when they take him. You see his face. You know he's loyal. You know this is noise. But you also understand something the general doesn't. The loyalty calculus has changed. When a system starts failing, loyal people become dangerous because they know too much about how broken it is. But you say nothing. Saying nothing is survival. Saying nothing is also the moment you stop believing in the system enough to die for it. A man finds you in a coffee shop in Caracas. He's American. He has a calm voice and a business card that says nothing. He sits down like he knows you, like he's been watching. He has 8 months of photographs, your grocery stops, your daughter's school, the checkpoints you use. He says, "We know what you do, we know you're tired, we have a program." He doesn't mention money, not yet. Money is aggressive. Instead, he talks about documents that work. About a daughter who gets to college in the United States without looking over her shoulder. He leaves a phone number on a napkin. You burn it in your kitchen sink. You don't call for 3 weeks, then your daughter gets sick and there's no medicine in the hospitals. Then you see another purge. A major gets disappeared. Noise, but noise is enough. Then you realize the system isn't getting better. It's getting worse. You call from a payphone in a barrio where the regime has no control. The voice says, "Welcome to the exit strategy." You meet the handler in a parking garage. He explains the math. An officer of your rank makes $2,000 a month legal. To walk away, to disappear with a fake name, to never see your family again, you need a cushion. 5 years without work, a foundation. At $15 million, it looks like you stole it, like you embezzled from the palace. That narrative makes sense inside the regime. Corruption, not ideology, just money. The price is information. Everything about the Presidente's security, his routines, his vulnerabilities. Which generals are loyal, which ones are negotiating with the opposition, which ones are already taking American money. You're not selling secrets, you're selling a man's schedule. The Presidente knows something is wrong. He can feel the shift in the room. He starts testing loyalty in ways that don't make sense. He orders surveillance on his own security detail. He wants to know who's talking to whom, phone records, bank accounts in Miami or Panama. He wants a map of every personal relationship that could be weaponized against him. You're being watched by people you trained. You're watching people you trust. The infrastructure of security becomes infrastructure of suspicion. The paranoia is recursive now. It eats itself. He's afraid of the people he appointed to protect him because he appointed them. If he chose wrong, his judgment is failing. If his judgment is failing, he's vulnerable. If he's vulnerable, they might be planning something. So he purges. Each purge is temporary relief. Then the anxiety comes back. A man who's been with him for 12 years gets arrested. His crime, attending a church service where a priest mentioned hope. That's all. No meetings, no contact with opposition. Just a moment of spiritual optimism that the regime interprets as ideological disloyalty. You understand now. The system doesn't want loyalty, it wants terror. Terror is the only thing that keeps people in line when everything else collapses. You're part of the machine that manufactures it. But you've also realized something the Presidente hasn't. The machine requires operators. And operators are tradable. When systems like this collapse, and they always collapse, the operators become assets to whoever is buying. You're recording conversations now, a general discussing troop movements, a minister mentioning shortages. You wear a wire under your uniform. It sits against your ribs like a second heartbeat. You sit in briefings and memorize faces. You photograph documents with a phone the handler gave you. The photos go to a dead drop in a parking garage off Avenida Andres Bello. You're a ghost in two worlds. In one, you're the loyal bodyguard, the trusted shadow. In the other, you're a CIA asset meeting your handler in concrete stairwells and empty parking levels. The cognitive dissonance should be unbearable, but you've learned to compartmentalize. Humans can hold two contradictory realities if the alternative is madness. Your wife notices you're distant, you're not sleeping, you're checking your phone at 3 a.m. for messages in code. The handler sends updates about extraction timelines, about safe houses in Arlington, about how your daughter's paperwork is being processed for resettlement. Presidente calls you into his office, alone, unusual. He's sitting behind his desk with his hands flat on the surface. He looks smaller than he did last month, like the system is eating him from the inside. He says, "I need to know who I can trust." You look him in the eye. "Only me, Presidente." He believes you. That's the moment you know the system is completely broken. A man this paranoid shouldn't believe anyone. But he does, because you're the only one left who still performs loyalty convincingly. The only one whose mask hasn't slipped. Not yet. You leave his office and your hands are shaking. You've just lied to a man with the power to make you disappear. More than that, you've confirmed his trust in you at the exact moment you're dismantling everything he stands on. The countdown is 72 hours. You feel it in the room. Intelligence chatter spikes. Rumors of a coup. Not real. Phantom. The kind of rumor that only exists because paranoid people imagine it into existence. But the Presidente believes it because belief is all he has left. He orders arrests of 3 generals, consolidates security around a smaller unit, brings in people he thinks are loyal. You're in that unit, which means you're dangerous to him now. You know too much, you've seen too much, you've recorded too much. A colleague whispers to you in a hallway, they're talking about you, you're a liability. You don't ask who they are, you don't ask what they said, you already know. The regime operates on the principle that knowing too much is a capital crime. You know the locations of detention facilities. You know the names on the kill list. You know which officers are on drug cartels' payroll. You know how the system actually works underneath the propaganda. That makes you dangerous. That makes you expendable. The handler sends a message through the dead drop. 72 hours. Get out. You have 48 hours. The extraction is ready. A plane, a new identity, a safe house in Virginia. Everything is prepared. Your exit from this world is as mechanical as your entry was. You go home. Your wife is in the kitchen. Your daughter is asleep. You pack one bag. Tell your wife you have an emergency security meeting. You'll be back tomorrow. You're lying. She knows you're lying. She doesn't ask questions because neither of you can live with the answers. What happens to her? What happens to your daughter? These are questions without acceptable answers. You kiss your daughter while she's sleeping. You memorize her face, the exact shade of her skin in the hallway light, the way her hand curls against the pillow. You won't see her for years. Maybe never. The handler said eventually, but eventually is a word that means nothing in situations like this. The safe house in Panama City. 3 a.m. A briefcase on a metal table. $15 million in bearer bonds and cash. The man across from you in the dark is from Langley. He doesn't introduce himself. He just says, he's already looking for you. By now someone's realized you're gone. You left the palace 4 hours ago, told the Presidente you were checking security elsewhere, standard rotation. By now someone's confirmed you didn't arrive at the secondary location. Your name is on a list. The extraction is clinical. A car waits outside. A driver you've never met. You don't make eye contact. The car moves through Caracas in the early morning, empty streets, military checkpoints that wave you through because the driver has credentials that work in this system. A private airstrip on the outskirts of the city. A plane with no markings. Seats facing inward. No windows you can see from. The CIA man sits next to you in the dark. You did the right thing, he says. You know he's lying. There is no right thing in a system like this. There's only survival. You chose survival. That's all this is. The plane climbs. You don't look back at Caracas. The city disappears below the clouds. You're alive, but you're also dead. Everything you were is gone. The name on your passport is someone else's name now. The life you had is a memory that will become less real every year. Right now in Caracas, there's a new bodyguard. He's 26 years old. He has a wife and a daughter. He stands behind the Presidente and thinks about loyalty and fear and the line between them. He doesn't know yet that the system is breaking. He doesn't know that his orders will stop working. He doesn't know that paranoia is a machine that consumes everything, including the people who feed it. He'll learn. The way you learned. The Presidente has already chosen his replacement. A younger man. Someone with fewer memories. Someone more expendable. That's the calculus. Fresh operators don't ask questions. They believe the machine works because nobody's told them the math yet. Your betrayal wasn't about ideology. It wasn't about democracy, or freedom, or any of the words that sound good in speeches. It was about math. The system calculated that you were worth more alive, talking, than dead and silent. That's the real lesson here. Power doesn't collapse because of heroic resistance. It collapses because the people running it realize they can monetize their exit. The CIA didn't recruit you because you were principled. They recruited you because you were rational. Because you understood that loyalty has a price, and that price fluctuates with market conditions. You were tradable. That made you valuable. In 2023, a former Venezuelan intelligence official defected and provided evidence that Maduro's inner circle had been infiltrated by foreign intelligence for years. The names changed, the faces changed, but the structure stayed the same. Right now, somewhere in another capital, another bodyguard is standing behind another paranoid leader, thinking the same thoughts you thought, having the same realizations, making the same calculations. The cycle begins. It always begins the same way. A man realizes his loyalty is worth something. The system realizes it needs to buy him before someone else does. That's not a story about good and evil. That's a story about how systems fail from the inside because the people inside them understand the math better than the people at the top. The story is very specific, but the system is universal. 3 doors down from your old office, a new man is learning the schedule. He's memorizing faces. He's listening to the code. He hasn't realized yet that he's not protecting anyone. He's being protected by the system until the system no longer needs him. In a coffee shop somewhere, an American with a calm voice is probably watching him, waiting. 8 months of photographs, grocery stops, a daughter's school, the checkpoints he uses, the ticking doesn't stop. It never stops. You're alive. You're gone. Somewhere, another man is about to make the same choice you made. The cycle begins.